Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of What's on My Desk. Last couple of episodes, a couple of people mentioned the fact that, hey, this channel is all about AP and Richard Mille and Rolex and so on and so forth. Yes, I have to admit that quite a few APs do come across my desk. I try to show you guys some stuff that you would never normally see, some outrageous, super expensive pieces. I'm still a business, so if in today's day and age of watches, what's popular is Rolex, AP, and Richard Mille's, and that's what's selling, that's mostly what I'm going to have come across my desk. But that doesn't mean I don't sell other watches and so on and so forth. And case in point, today's episode is actually going to be pretty random. I have a Hublot Ferrari watch. I have the new commemorative IWC Perpetual Calendar Da Vinci. And I have a Tag Heuer Jack Heuer commemorative watch. The three couldn't be any different, but I can certainly sum all three of them up in one thing, and that is I am going to show you that the brand is really relevant, and I want to reiterate the point that I always try to make to clients when they ask me what to buy, what's a good investment. I've told you guys before, none of these watches are a good investment. They're all expensive toys, and you should buy what you like most and foremost. And these three particular watches, regardless of the fact that they may be the hottest thing on the market today, which they're not, they're still gorgeous, beautiful watches, and indeed, every single one of these I would wear myself. So let's kick things off with Hublot. This is yet another limited edition Ferrari watch from Hublot, made in titanium. Limited edition of 1,000 pieces. And it looks like any other Hublot, you're going to tell me, and rightfully so. A lot of these Ferrari editions tend to look similar, and there's so many of them out there. So why did I pick this particular watch? Just to show you that all the people that are making fun of Hublot and saying, oh, Hublot makes a limited edition every 15 seconds, and Hublot is not a cool watch. It's nothing in comparison to other brands like AP or anybody else for that matter. Well, I'm going to tell you guys are wrong. There's a reason why I like Hublot, and the reason is clearly shown in this watch. Let's look at this watch for a second, just from a design perspective, right? The fully titanium case sings to me. Very steampunk, a very industrial looking watch. I like the fact that it's all titanium and nothing takes away from this watch. The bezel seemingly blends in with the case. I like that look. Look at the design of the chronograph buttons. They definitely mimic the pedals of a Ferrari. Look at the rotor in the back. It's a Ferrari wheel. Look at even how the screws are attached. I mean, this entire back of the watch is reminiscent that of a Ferrari wheel alongside with the rim of a Ferrari wheel. Unmistakably Ferrari, obviously. Your horse at 9 o'clock. I love the way the date stands out. You would think Ferrari watch, a lot of reds, a lot of yellows, right? And it's synonymous with Ferrari. But look, they did it very, very seldomly. You have the scale and the minutes counter in red, and you have the date window in yellow. A, makes the date legible, but B, just adds to the overall effect. It's like less is more kind of deal. The strap, again, look at the red striping on the strap. Even the rubber piece going down the middle of the strap. Just everything about this watch is reminiscent of racing, reminiscent of Ferrari, and everything that Ferrari represents. And at the end of the day, this is a great looking watch, and this is why I like Hublot. I tell you guys, buy what you like and first and foremost. If those that hate on Hublot, if I were to take this watch and put the words Audemars Piguet on it, or Patek Philippe, or Rolex for that matter, guess what? Every single person would be jumping all over this particular piece. But yet, because it's Hublot and they make so many different watches and blah, 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 everybody tends to shy away from them. Beautifully executed deploying buckle, again, in titanium. So this, for a large watch such as this, which is 45 millimeters, very light. Look at the details with the carbon fiber in the buckle. I mean, everything about this watch sings beauty to me. And if we sometimes just learn to look at watches for what they are, and that is watches, and not concern ourselves too much with what other people think in terms of names and brand names and so on and so forth, we would truly, truly buy what we like first and foremost. And another little bit of trivia that a lot of people don't know, if you look at the screws on the bezel, do you notice that the screws make an H? A lot of people think that this is just a way that Hublot does their screws. There's a reason why they do it that way, because those screws actually make an H. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I'm like, did you know? He was like, oh, wow, mind blown. H on a screw. Quick release straps. Look at that. Watch comes with 2 straps. You can easily release it, change the straps around. You can go swimming, snorkeling, up to 100 meters with this watch. It's durable. It's easily refinishable, if that's even the word, refinishable. Just because it's all titanium and it's very easy to polish off should you beat this watch up. Retail is $26,300. You can pick this watch up today up to 40% off retail, which makes it a pretty smoking deal. And comparing it to my favorite Audemars Piguet, For example, a regular offshore today retails for $26,600 from AP, so very comparable in price for a chronograph in steel. You know, this does give it a run for its money in terms of finishes. I mean, look at the carbon case. Look at the way the bezel is done. It looks like a brake disc. I mean, everything about this watch, a lot of thought, a lot of process went into the design of these pieces. Look at the crown. So if you ask me, this definitely gives an Audemars Piguet offshore a run for its money in terms of looks. Now, I am biased. I am going to go with an AP versus a Hublot every time, but nevertheless, I love Hublot just as much. I think they make great looking watches, and if this is something you like, don't let others or social media persuade you otherwise. This is a great brand and a great watch. Moving on to another hell of a looking watch, and that is the Patek Heuer Carrera Jet Carrera Commemorative Edition. This is the caliber 1887. It is an automatic. You can see Jack Heuer's name in the back of the watch. And this is the Carrera's 50th anniversary piece. Now, 1963 is when a gentleman by the name of Jack Heuer came up with the Carrera line, and it has changed the face of Tag Heuer forever. You guys are all familiar with the Carrera line from Tag Heuer. It's still around till this day, and it will be around for many, many years. It's like the Rolex Submariner or that Mega Speedmaster, right? So let's talk design. You think it's of Tag Heuer. I mean, you know, it's not up there with the big boys like, for example, AP or Richard Mille or even Hublot for that matter. But look at the design of this watch. I mean, everything about the way this watch was, everything about the design of this watch screams, I absolutely love this watch. The back case of the watch is ceramic. The outer bezel here is ceramic. Now, mind you, this came out in 2013, so it's been about 6 years since this watch came out, and yet it's still up to date with current design. At the same token, it screams sports. It screams timing, it screams chronograph. You know that this watch is for timing just by looking at it from here. A beautifully done PVD buckle sort of plays down the Tag Heuer logo. Nice strap. Black on the outside, red on the inside. I felt it was a really nice touch. Kind of goes along with the signature in the back as well as the red chronograph hand. The dial, again, it can be retro, it can be modern. Just everything about this says Carrera to me. If you look at some of the other Tag Heuer Carreras, this dial definitely screams just that. The case, remind you of the Audemars Piguet Code 1159 it just came out with? Sort of a watch within the watch? Yes, this watch has it. How much does this watch retail for? $7,800. If you ask me, it's a hell of a deal on the beautiful chronograph. And again, once again, take off the name Tag Heuer and put any other name on this watch, and this watch could retail for $30,000 and still fly off the shelves. Again, great design, great brand name. Great history behind the watch. I mean, can you believe Carrera is 50-some years old? I mean, this was a long time ago that this was designed, and they're still around, and they're still successful. You can pick this watch up for 30 to 40% off, brand new. Makes it a hell of a deal, if you ask me, for what you get. And speaking of what you get for the money, I saved the Da Vinci from IWC for last, and I'll tell you why I did so. First of all, the IWC Da Vinci perpetual calendar is actually very near and dear to my heart personally. And the reason for that is because when I got into the business 17 years ago, the stainless steel version of this watch, the gold versions of these watches, the older ones, and I'll pop them up on the screen, were pretty hot sellers at the time. And I sold quite a few in the beginning of my career. So when they did a remake of the Da Vinci, or I guess this is a tribute to the Da Vinci, I was actually very, very excited. And the reason I was excited is because they didn't deviate from the original design much. The watch is bigger, the watch is thicker, but the overall design, the lugs, the way the chronograph buttons are, the way the dial is laid out is very, very true to the original IWC Schaffhausen design of the original Da Vinci watch. The Da Vinci family of watches from IWC have been around for 30 years, and this was really released to commemorate that. Now, one of the things that IWC and their perpetual calendars are mostly known for is the fact that they're super accurate. In fact, the moon phase on this perpetual calendar will only deviate by 1 day in 577 and a half years. So if you hold on to this watch for 577 years, it will accurately keep the moon phase on your watch for that long. Now, obviously everybody says the same thing, who lives that long? In fact, every perpetual calendar that you get from IWC, they give you an extra calendar wheel that gets replaced when we hit the year 2100. Again, no one in their lifetime is going to be doing that with this watch, but nevertheless, just a bold statement, and a true bold statement, the fact of how accurate their perpetual calendars are, makes you think, wow, this has got to be a very expensive watch. Again, this is a perpetual calendar, full perpetual calendar, moon phase, leap year, month, day, date, the whole 9 yards. And it's also a chronograph, and it's also an automatic, a very complex watch. And the retail on this watch is what? $40,200. Compare this to a Patek 5970, which is over $100,000. Compare this to a complicated AP perpetual calendar chronograph, which is going to be in that $100,000 price range. Why is this so cheap? Well, IWC is, again, one of those companies, much like Jaeger, that produce their own machines. Their cost of production is much less because they don't have to outsource any of the stuff. They do everything in-house, and therefore they're able to pass those savings on to you, the consumer.
I am passing the savings on to you!
So $40,200, if you're able to get out there and pick this watch up at about 30% off retail, it's a hell of a deal on the perpetual calendar. Not just perpetual calendar, but an iconic perpetual calendar, because the Da Vinci line is iconic for IWC. It's just as iconic as their pilot lines. And again, it's a hell of a looker. You know, this is a beautiful perpetual. I'm going to throw this one on my wrist, actually, so you guys can see, because it does wear big. It's a big watch, and it's a very thick watch, so it does wear very big. But because of the way the lugs are made and the way the strap hugs my wrist, someone like myself with a small wrist can get away with it. And I guess let me put it in perspective with the Tag Heuer. Sort of wears the same. Here you really get an idea of how big the Hublot is at 45 millimeters. And it's slightly thicker than the IWC too, although the IWC does wear fairly big. So in conclusion, I want to go back to what I always tell you guys. I can't think of anyone that's watching this video right now that can argue with the fact that all three of these pieces are gorgeous in design. Some are rich with history, some are rich with tradition, like the Ferrari watch. So bottom line is don't concern yourself with what social media or any other media or any of your friends will tell you. Buy what you like first and foremost. See if you're someone that's concerned with the value of something in the future. Again, I tell people the watches are not an investment. They're expensive toys, but there are some reasonable pieces out there that you can pick up, save a buck or two ahead of time, and then maybe end up in a 10 to 20% loss column down the line when you go to resell them. But nevertheless, what would you rather have? Nobody in their right mind should be out there buying watches with their last $10,000, $20,000 that they have in their savings account. So if you're out there purchasing a heavy-duty piece from $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000, it is a significant purchase. So odds are you can afford it. If you're buying watches that you can't afford, you shouldn't. Well, that goes with anything. So why are you going to concern yourself with what somebody else says? Or maybe the fact that you may pick this watch up for 30 grand and later resell it for $27,000. Is that $3,000 ever going to make you or break you, considering that you can afford a $30,000 watch, or a $5,000 watch for that matter, or a $15,000, $20,000 watch? No, it's not. But even still, you can look at it from a different perspective. Let's say you bought this watch for $30,000 today. Let's say you go to resell it 3 to 4 years from now. And instead of getting $30,000 for it, you're going to resell it for $26,000, losing 20%. If I came to you today and said, hey, take this watch, give me $4,000 and give it back to me in one piece 4 years from now, would you lay out the 30 grand or give me 4 grand to wear this for 5 years? You can look at it that way also. But the bottom line is there's so many other beautiful options out there outside of Rolex, outside of AP, outside of Richard Mille. And I know I seem to show a lot of that stuff because that's what's hot right now, and that's what comes across my desk. But I definitely on a daily basis do come across many other brands, a slew of other brands, such as these three that I showed you here. And I'll gladly talk about everything and anything that comes across my desk. You just have to, guys, give me a little bit of a break and understand that, again, yet this is still a business. So if AP is my #1 selling brand, followed by Rolex, let's say, and Richard Mille, that's mostly what's going to come across my desk. But I'll do my best to do things a little bit different and quote-unquote diversify by my What's on My Desk episodes. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button if you did. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time for more watch reviews and other videos.